Hey guys, welcome back. I am getting ready to paint, touch the hood up on the Chevy dually. We're painting the grill and we're gonna paint some door handles today. Then I only have like one or two little things left to do and everything should be painted. I went ahead and sanded the hood down with 600. I still have to hang paper. I'm gonna use 18-inch paper around the perimeter. I don't wanna get overspray underneath the hood. I scuffed the grill up and I hung that up, tripping on a stand. So the grill is taped off. I'm not gonna clean the spray booth or change the filter. The filter's pretty bad, but I don't wanna disturb stuff because we're painting white. And once you start disturbing stuff, you gotta kind of let it settle. I had to tape off the chrome on this grill because this is an aftermarket grill. And I know some of them have clips, but this one, the chrome is melted in, okay? So there's no way I'm gonna even try to get that chrome ring off of there because it'll probably never ever go back on. So I had to tape it off. But I scuffed it all with the red Scotch-Brite pad, so that's ready to go. The hood's ready to go other than taping off. Let's go take a look at these door handles because I painted that earlier. It's a back door for an arcade cabinet. Now, I was supposed to paint these parts tonight. I might just get them all set up in there and paint them tomorrow because we're supposed to have a storm coming through in the next few hours and it could get severe, they said, with very high winds, and that would suck really bad if I'm in the middle of painting and the power goes out. So I don't think I'm gonna risk it. I don't really have to deliver the parts till Friday, so it's not the end of the world. I'd like to get them done tonight, but also I don't want to run the risk of having to stop halfway through it and then running out of material if I don't have them in clear by the, if the power were to go out. So we have a retaining clip here and here. We need to take these apart because in order to paint these pockets nicely, you really should take the chrome handle out. You could paint them in here with the handle on, but it's not the right way to do it. It's just not going to turn out real well. I still got to scuff them with the red Scotch-Brite pad. These are smooth, they're not textured, but I need to see if I can get these pins off. Might need a pick tool. Sometimes you can get lucky and lightly tap them and they'll come out. But I'm not sure on these. These are aftermarket. A little nervous on tapping them too hard. Might need a body hammer. Actually, it looks like it's moving. Okay, let me go grab a body hammer with a point on it so I can actually get in there. I'm actually gonna stick these inside of here so I don't lose them. There's one pin out. Now we have to, actually we can probably get the handle out of the way, maybe. Yep, handle's out of the way. Now we gotta take off this other pin. The reason why we're taking this off is because they're gonna have to put this on in a different order to work on the truck. I had to change a lot of things on this truck to get this stuff to work. There goes my retainer clip. Did I drop it on the floor? Must have. All right. I have to find that clip somewhere, but here's what it looks like done. We're gonna do one door lock in this truck. Driver's door is gonna have a lock in it. Other three are just gonna be no locks. I gotta find that retainer clip. I'm gonna go ahead and disassemble the other three, and I'm just gonna Scotch-Brite these with the red Scotch-Brite pad, get them in the spray booth, and then we'll get everything taped up and ready to paint. So I will be back. All right, I want to show you something real quick on how I'm holding these handles down to the paper. I have like 8 lights burned out in the spray booth right now, so it's not very bright in here. I have not had a chance to change them. So what I'm doing here is I put a piece of paper on top of a board I'm taking some tape inside out here and making a loop, okay? But if you leave it like that, you see how it moves? Take another piece of tape inside out, and we're gonna go the opposite direction. And what that's gonna do is kind of hold this together a little bit more. Then just stick it on the back here. Stick it down. It'll still wobble a little bit, but it'll keep it from blowing off of the piece of plywood. Because nothing worse than painting a part and then it blows off the stand. The best is when you got it looking good and you're going to put the last coat of clear on and then it blows off. And then you got to start over. So trying to prevent that from happening by taping these down. Now I got to blow everything off. I'm going to get everything blown off. We're probably going to use a little bit of adhesion promoter on the handles and the grill. And if you notice here, I have to blend the hood, okay? I got to do a little bit of a blend. So what I'm doing is, if you notice, you see how the hood is positioned in the spray booth, okay? That's my exit. That's the filters that take the air out of the spray booth. The air comes from this side, okay? So I'm using that to my advantage. And how I'm using it to my advantage is, if the air is moving this way, I'm making my blend, and the air is kind of helping the blend go into the hood. You know what I mean? If it was spun the other way around, it would be a little bit harder to make the blend because I would be fighting against the air going this way. So it's always pretty good practice to try to put your parts in the spray booth like you need them to be. Plus, I have the parts that are getting full paint down on that end, and this is only getting partial paint. If I put this down there and those parts over here, when I'm painting, everything's gonna blow onto the hood. We don't want that. We want to try to keep the hood blend somewhere in this area here, you know. We're doing pearl, so we got to blend it out pretty far. I don't want to get to the edges there, because if we get to the edges of the hood, then it's not going to match the fenders. So we got to try to keep that blend somewhat in the center there. So, all right, I'm going to get everything blown off, and then we're going to wipe it down. Hopefully my Bulldog adhesion promoter is okay. I'll tell you what, Bulldog adhesion promoter is not a very good adhesion promoter. It doesn't always spray out of the spray can very well, but we'll see how it works. If it's not working good, I just won't use it. I like to use it just a little bit here and there. It's right here. They do make some other brands too that are a little better. I just happen to have some of this. So, all right, let me get the all the dust blown off these parts. All right, we're gonna use some wax and grease remover first, and then we're gonna wipe it down with some window cleaner, spray away window cleaner. Now, when I use this stuff, I like to put it on pretty heavy and really saturate the part down, because it helps pull the dirt out. Now, I sanded this hood down with 600 grit, so it doesn't have like major sanding marks or anything in it. And there's a damn fly in here. So, which part do you guys think the fly is going to end up in? I just saw a fly in here. Yep, that's going to be awesome. Using a microfiber towel, you can use these because they are lint free. saturate this so it's dripping on the floor. That helps kind of pull some of the dirt out. You saturate it real well. Go ahead and wipe this down and I'll be back. Okay, now I'm going to spray everything down with this spray away window cleaner. And then we are going to, same method, wipe everything down. And then after that, it's ready for a tack cloth. I try to go in the same direction. Just try to wipe the dirt off the panel as best as possible. Will there still be dirt in it? I'm sure. But try to prevent as much as possible, especially on white. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of this white down. And then we'll tack cloth it, spray some of that adhesion promoter on, and then we're ready for white. We're going to tack off the hood twice. Once right now. And then right before I start painting it. My hands are clean. They've been washed. Feels pretty good. Grab some of that adhesion promoter. Not spraying bad at all, actually. This white paint mixed up. We'll put a little bit on the hood, just start blending that while we're working on everything else. We're going to be using this company right here, Automotive Art. They covered their label, but it's called Automotive Art. This pint probably weighs 5 to 10 pounds. It's heavy. It's very, very thick. That pint, full pint, will make 1.5 quarts sprayable. So you got to over reduce this stuff. It's way too thick if you don't. So I'm going to go ahead and mix this up. 1 part white and probably 1.25 quarts to 1.5 parts of reducer. So I'm going to go ahead and get this mixed up, and we're going to go out there and start blending this. If for some reason these pint cans, the can opener don't work on them anymore. Used to. Okay, when I started the first coat of white, I actually stopped because it was too thick going on there. I thinned it out a little bit. Still a little bit too thick, but it's fine. As you can see how fast it covers. This stuff is crazy quick coverage. I'm gonna let this set up. I'll probably hit the grill with one more light coat. Everything else looks fine. So I'll be back when it's time to start putting the pearl on. Okay, now we're gonna start putting on the pearl. All right, let's go take a look. It's been about 10 minutes. Hood has a little bit of dirt, but it laid out really, really smooth. The blend looks really good. I honestly can't see it whatsoever, so I'm happy with that. Hard to tell in here with the overhead lighting the way it is. It just looks like a bunch of little spots on here. But everything turned out nice. The only thing left I have to paint is the lower front valance underneath the front bumper, and I believe that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and let this stuff dry, and that's going to end this video. I won't do a video on the lower front valance, no real reason to. I'll get that painted, and then we got to get this thing finished putting it together and get it the heck out of here. So hopefully soon it'll be done and on the road. So thanks everybody for watching. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask. The clear that I use is called Wanda Clear. It's a 4-to-1 mix. I use a slow hardener and a slow reducer. That also helps it lay down a little bit flatter, especially when you have a lot of airflow. I have no heat on today because it's 80 degrees outside and it is currently almost 80 in the spray booth. So no need for that. But I always try to use slow hardener because when you have, like I said, a lot of air movement, it tends to dry quick. So if you're using a medium or a fast hardener, as you're spraying it, it's already starting to dry. So you're not going to get that real glass look coming out of the spray gun because it's unfortunately going to be drying on you quicker than it has time to level itself out. So, all right guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you later.